Hey, party people.
Hey there, hi there, ho there. Okay, scratch that last one. That just don't sound right. Hey, it's after hours, baby. That's right. It's after hours. So what are all you night owls and insomniacs and Mandela maniacs doing up at this time of night? Do you know what time it is? If you said it's after hours, baby, then you got the password. Welcome to the After Hours Club and Speakeasy. The chandeliers are sparkling. The glasses tinkling. Oh. But you better not be. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats, I'd like to introduce the boss man. You know, the big guy. Dan the man. Not Scarface, but Scarab.
It's after hours,
Scarabperformance.
baby.
Yeah, there it is. It's after hours. What you doing, man? Oh, dude, this guy here says he knows you from downstairs.
Who's that?
Nobleness something?
Oh, NoblenessDee? Yeah, bring him on in.
NoblenessDee, that's the guy.
Bring him on in.
Tell everybody in the chat room, because I can't see the chat room once again. But you can't, boss man. You can see it all.
Well, I got access, baby.
That's it. Tell everybody in the chat room they better be typing in the password. Nobleness. My brother, do you have the password?
It's after hours, baby.
Oh! That's sweet. Man, how are you doing, Noble? I wanted to meet you. Dude, boss, take him.
Oh my gosh, Noble. Yes. Well, as you know, Noble just joined us on our Mandela Monday broadcast and is here tonight and at the After Hours Club and Speakeasy with PhotoHelix. And we are we are so glad to have him here. And I'm glad he went ahead and did this with us as well, because I'll tell you what, that first broadcast was a lot of fun, and I can tell that PhotoHelix is really psyched for this one. So, Photo, what do you got? You have any questions for Noble right off the bat?
What, are you kidding? Okay, Noble, boo, dude. Holy mackerel, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Holy mackerel. Does anybody else out there in the chat room know what I'm saying? Holy mackerel. That's you, man.
Oh, he's talking about your mackerel fire.
That's right. I just got it. Yes, wow. I have a mackerel fishing
right, let's
video.
show him back down the steps, man. He ain't ready for the after easies.
No, he's just needs to warm up a little bit. You know,
it's after
and
hours,
you know it's after hours, baby. You know what the thing is people have to realize. They have to realize Noble did I guess, what was that, Noble? He's showing people how to build a mackerel cooking fireplace. Is that what that was?
A smoker. I made a smoker out of a stove and oven, and then at the end of the video I stuck on some mackerel fishing, which a lot of that mackerel fishing was done after hours.
Oh, nice. Ice fishing? Are you doing some ice fishing out there? What are you doing?
No, it's not ice year around here.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
mackerel fishing,
so
salt water.
Oh, okay.
Did you see where he was fishing off of the bridge? How pretty that was?
No, yeah, nice. I didn't get to see that. No, I missed it.
Oh man, he was pulling them in too, and he was fighting you with, guess what? His biggest problem out there.
What's that?
Oh yeah,
doggone mosquitoes.
Oh, brutal, freaking armies, man. When I lived in Alberta, people are there spraying on all this fly dope. There's no mosquitoes around. When I go fishing, you got to keep your mouth closed and breathe like through a straw. I'm not joking. Shit gets in your eyes and your ears. And
not a good place to ride a bicycle is what you're saying, right?
No.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you're here now. You don't have any of that Zika virus, do you?
No, I think we're pretty safe here.
Oh, good.
Okay, Noble, let me ask you, brother, no kidding. You know, I'm so excited to meet you. I really am.
Same, dude.
It's a pleasure and an honor, and I'm really glad that Dan the boss has pulled you into the After Hours Club and the Speakeasy. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, let me ask you something now. As you can tell, I know I watched y'all's show in that Mandela Mondays. That was a good show, y'all. You covered a lot of topics, and man, dude, you pretty smart thinker there. But thinker, see, that's why he's got that picture. No kidding. You're pretty smart thinker. Are you there?
Yep. Sorry. Did you land with a question?
No, I was just making a an observation. It ain't for me to question in this place. The boss is sitting behind the
Oh,
desk.
no,
Thinking is important for sure. And one of the important things, and I think a lot of Mandela aware people do, is to think about your own thoughts. And this is important. Like, I have some theories on it. I won't go too deep, but it is important for humans to think about what they're thinking. And if you don't do that, you'll end up being a sheep. You'll end up just being a reactive person. And that's not good. If you think about what you're thinking, you become more in control of your own thoughts, your own future, in control of your reality. And it's very important, actually.
Self-awareness, one could call it in 2 words, right? See, Rachel would be proud of me, Dan.
Oh my God. Well, in the chat room right now, it's blowing up because Angela apparently found my doppelganger.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude. And it's really weird because, dude, I mean, it looks like me, but like a little distorted. I mean, it's not quite, it's not quite the identical. Well, I guess so. I don't know. I looked at it, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't quite look like me. Get out of here. And now she's in the chat room telling everybody she found my doppel. And then she's passing my doppel picture apparently around Facebook. Well, that's just really great. So thank you, Angela.
You ought to autograph it or something.
No, I'm not autographing my own doppel. That's creepy. You don't do that.
Maybe you should ask for their autograph. See if they write like you.
What?
That's Mandela thinking right there, buddy. Hey, tell me that ain't awareness.
Dude, if he's got a better credit score than me, well, someone's going to have to die.
Brother, do you not understand what you're doing is self-awareness right there, what Noble was just talking about?
Yeah.
You're so aware that you now know where your doppelganger's at.
Well, I don't really know where he's at. I just know there's apparently some dude running around that kind of looks like me. I don't think it looks exactly.
I bet it was you and you're trying to get out of that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I plead the fifth. I don't know a thing.
Listen, it's after hours, you can tell it. Yeah, it is after hours, baby. Y'all are crazy, boy. Ain't it fun when it's after hours and you can relax? But Lord, can I say something, y'all serious? Yes. Let me ask you this first, Noble, just real quick, brother. You know Dan, and you know me. Everybody calls me Photo, but you call me John if you'd like. What do you like to go by when somebody's just not in the Mandela YouTube world, but out there in your personal life? What would you go by, or what would you prefer to be called? It again,
but
might be better to keep it private because it
not
is
not what your girlfriend calls you.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, no, not that word, but
everything online. Everyone just calls me Noble online, really.
Noble, I like that. How did you come up with that name?
I signed up about 2006 for Full Tilt Poker, and I wanted a good name, something kind of intimidating or something for poker. So I literally got a thesaurus out and I was looking up smart and whatever, and I saw Noble. And then I thought nobleness, and D is a little bit of a pun off my name. My first name starts with a D. And so, yeah, I went with NoblenessDee.
Can I just ask you one thing?
Yeah.
Is it a biblical name?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, my name's Dion.
Dion, dude.
Yeah.
Cool
like
name.
Sanders?
Exactly. Only I was named after Dion and the Belmonts, and I'm white, actually.
Hey, it's okay. It's after hours, baby.
It's after hours, baby.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. So, all right. So, Noble, you had some, I can present here and we'll get started on this. Now you had an interesting Mandela effect you wanted to share with us on the last show, but we didn't get to it. So why don't you share, at least go ahead and tell me what this is all about. I haven't looked. Now I didn't cheat.
Okay, yeah. Hold off for a moment then.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so I held off on this Mandela effect because I think it's a pretty big one. I'm hoping some other people know. 100% for me, like, it changed. And it was only a few days ago I found out. So luckily, majority of us here in the Mandela.
Wait. Brother, when you said it changed, but only a couple days ago.
No, I only found out a few days ago.
Before you go on, can I just get something? Because I know the people in the chat room are going to want to know too. And I didn't catch this in the last one. I'm sorry. What was your very first experience with the Mandela effect itself? What was the very first thing you noticed changing or heard of or was aware of in any shape, form, or fashion? what was the
Do
first
you
thing?
want to? Let's go on one path or the other here, because that's a big thing. My introduction to Mandela Effect. I could give you a good mind-blowing story on that.
Well,
Hey,
we can go
brother,
with
it's
your
after
introduction.
hours. It's
We
after
can go with
hours.
introduction, and then we can we'll share your
Go with the
pictures.
Mandela Effect.
I did
After?
peek now. I kind of see what you're.
Oh, he cheated. He's
Really?
Well, I thought I was gonna be. I had to pull them up. See, the boss man had to pull it up, so I had to look.
You probably know what's up.
Well, I
He
do know
knows
what's up. So
everything.
that's that's
Let's do
crazy.
it. Let's do it. We'll
You
get
wanna
back
do
to
it?
that.
I
Just
think you're
ask me
excited.
what my first Mandela stuff was, and I'll do that.
Well, I
Okay.
already asked you. Are you hard of hearing, brother? Hey, it's all right. It's after hours. Get you
I'm
something.
getting some mixed emotions, man.
Get you something to drink,
All right.
brother.
All right. Tell you what. Let's pour. Somebody needs to refill my drink here. Photo, can you do that for me, please, sir?
I can grab it for
And
you if you want me
Thank
to.
you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And what we'll do is I'll go ahead and it's up to you. You are the guest here. Noble. What would you like to talk about, sir?
So many choices. It's like a Mandela effect in itself.
Yeah, let's go with the ME change, because we're
The
in a
ME
good mood,
change,
and
okay.
my introduction story isn't.
Okay.
completely
Okay.
that
Well,
great.
we'll do the ME. We'll do that. We'll come back to that. Okay.
It'll get a little darkness to it. I don't want
Let
to
me
change it back and forth too much.
let me see here.
All right. So luckily, the majority of people that are Mandela Effect. I'm sorry, Photo. I'll get right back to it. Promise.
Oh, you're
My
fine, bro.
apologies.
It's after hours. Don't apologize to me
Okay.
for nothing.
So I want to make sure everybody can see this on screen. Are you guys seeing
Yeah.
this?
Don't switch it yet. Just leave it there
Okay.
for a moment.
All right.
So luckily, majority of Mandela affected people have spent their time on 9/11 investigating and all that good stuff and not so good stuff. And some of us even, went as far as watching literally documentaries on the construction of the World Trade Centers.
Wow.
Well, the World Trade Centers have changed.
What?
The World Trade Centers, after the fact, years after the fact, the World Trade Centers, as if you can see the picture, Dan, is
There's no core
showing. No, it's not that.
Oh,
The shape of the panels were not, and windows were not just rectangles. They were on diagonals. It was some sort of triangle, some sort of lattice look.
Now, what? Let me ask
They're
you.
not anymore.
Yeah, it looks like they're building a giant fence right there. Is what it looks like.
yeah. Those are the girders. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, this is a drawing, correct? Like
Yeah,
like
this is
a
a depiction
blueprint or
of
a
what
layout.
is current right now. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
or was.
Go ahead.
So yeah, that's not the way I remember the windows. I remember the windows and the exterior panels as being a lattice sort of look, or really elongated diamonds. There was angles. There was the columns that went up and down, but in general, when you looked at it, there was diagonals everywhere. It was
I
like
think there were
triangles or diamonds or something.
I remember the diamonds at near the bottom of the building.
Sure, it split apart. I know what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, that's not what I remember at all. The
Okay.
windows you could see it more during the construction. You could see it more after the collapse. But from the outside, you really just see the columns.
From what side?
From the outside.
Oh,
Out.
I'm with you. I'm
From
sorry.
the outside,
Canadian.
you see mainly just the columns. But the windows themselves were not just square, not just rectangles. They were not blocked. The openings had angles to them, like a lattice.
Now
The
let me ask
supports
you this,
between the
brother.
columns.
When did you come across this discovery?
2 or 3 days ago.
Should I go to the next picture?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and also they never just had 3 columns, they were wider. So whether it would be 4 or 5, they were raising up for each panel, we had 4 or 5 columns. And I did up a mock-up of kind of what I remember, and you go to the next picture.
Okay. But so you don't, I kind of remember them being, I remember them being in sections like this.
Mm-hmm.
But
The shape of the windows is what I'm getting at.
I have a
Right.
question. What's holding that one together?
Yeah, what's holding it together?
This is just, I just changed the picture in order to create.
You remember it being more elongated and where it's showing it more square, really.
I remember the panels being wider and bigger during the construction, or piece by piece. The panels were bigger for starters.
Let me
But
ask you this.
also, the supports in between the columns were not just squared off, were not just blocked off.
Okay.
You can show the next one. This is basically the best idea I have of what it looked like.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see where you're going.
Wow. Okay.
But I still don't think
you're
that's quite
doing is
completely
taking
right.
this to show I mean, you sketched this up? You did this?
I did that in paint, yeah.
That's really good though, dude. I mean, because it shows what you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you talked to anybody else that's having this same kind of focus? Because I'm not going to say that does or don't.
My father actually was kind of the guy that started to pick up on it. He's like, I thought there was angles. Even when I know him so well, even when I explain to people, I used to put my fingers on like lattice and diamond shape together when I'm talking to people and explaining it.
Right.
Strange.
Yeah, like there was no way they were just rectangles. It was
and
like
I was in that building too. I got to look out those windows. I got to look out. I was on the top of it.
When was that?
Back in the 1998.
Did you go up to the top?
Yeah.
Wow. How did they let you? You know, when I was in the service, I was in Chicago. Oh man, you talking about an after easy? I mean, after easy. Hey, it's after hours, y'all.
After hours, baby. Yeah.
After hours, baby. Hey, Noble.
What up?
Dion. Can I call you Dion, dude?
We should call him Prime Time.
Can I just call you dude?
We should call him Prime Time.
I shouldn't have gave up my first name.
Yeah, we'll call him Prime Time.
Okay, so now but this wasn't your first Mandela Effect, correct?
No.
Okay, keep going, man. Tell us more.
All right, well, wait. He's got to finish this up. So what we got here?
I did include another picture that shows just
another maybe
basic lattice look, but I don't think that was quite it. So you don't remember any angles? Like I even remember when people were hanging out of the windows after the planes went in, there was angles in the way at times. Like it was kind of awkward for them.
Now all of the things, have you seen the new things where the things disintegrate?
The thing is though, is like I remember is like the art students standing in the windows and they were squared. They looked squared to me at that, but I don't remember. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't go further down and they weren't, I don't know, man. That would be weird.
I think they had to step up. I think those art students had to step up over the angles.
What were the art students doing in there previous to all of this going down on that empty floor? Y'all know about all that, right?
Yeah. They were doing art.
Yeah,
of course.
It's after hours, baby.
Of course they were doing. I'm sure they were sculpting and watercolor.
Hey, boss.
In reality and
yeah.
Boss, you want me to tell you why they call it art?
Why is that?
Because you can go hang that stuff on the wall somewhere, brother. There was stuff going on. What were they doing there, man?
Well, we don't know.
So does anybody in the chat?
That looks
Does anybody remember it not being pure rectangle windows?
Let me go back what's going on in the chat. Yeah, I can go back one once.
Like I'm going to be choked if I'm the only guy in the world that knows. Like
that's the one that rings more of a bell with my mind.
Well, it's I mean it's there, but I kind of remember the straight across beams, but
this is just the support structure. I mean,
horizontal beams. I kind of remember the horizontal beams, but gosh, man. I don't know. I mean, was it like that?
Hard call.
Very interesting.
But what's the chat room saying? What are the people remembering?
Well, let's see here. Oh,
by the way, y'all, it's after hours.
It's after hours, baby.
Oh yeah. What are they saying, boss?
Well, I'm reading it right now, trying to follow, these conversations.
I remember people doing videos on how the pitchfork is the devil sign. Maybe that has nothing to do with it or no.
Right.
The pitchfork at the bottom.
Somebody,
from the bottom up.
Flint says, I remember it was different. A few people seem to remember and go with that. Maybe it's one of those things that, you got to look.
I remember diamonds. Yeah.
You remember diamonds? Okay.
There you go.
And I remember the diamond shape near the bottom, because they bent in, they kind of did that thing as they went up, they were wider apart and they came together and it kind of created that diamond shape at the bottom.
Can I ask you something, Noble, while we're looking at these beams here? Can you go back one more, boss?
Yes, sir. I can do that.
Check this out. Do you remember, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was footage, as a matter of fact, Scarabperformance put one out. Showing like an expose. It was Matthew the author of Texas Shrugged. What Matthew? What's his name?
Matthew McKinley.
Matthew McKinley. And boy, now he had some good Mandela Effect stuff out there, and he does some of this research like what you got going on here. And he did this expose about the actual day of 9/11 and the events that occurred. And they're showing now a new word. What was it called? Dirt.
The dust in the wind.
Dustification.
All you are is dust in the wind.
Yeah.
Oh, can I say something? It just made me think, and that turns my stomach. Y'all, I know we're back here chilling out, but really, while you got these pictures up, it just made me have a flashback, sort of the idea of death and people dying in our country for one foolish reason or another. And today was a bad day, brother.
Well, yeah. If you want to get on that, we can. We talked about in the first show. With that stuff.
Well, I don't know that I'd want to go there too much. My
Okay.
point is, I want to, as PhotoHelix, at least acknowledge that people lost their lives today. And did you hear? I didn't hear y'all mention the guy that went nuts with the shotguns down there in Florida today.
What, in Florida? Didn't know about that.
Okay, y'all look it up later. I ain't worried. It's after hours, baby. We ain't got to worry about that. Get on back with this. Here's the thing. That dustification, those beams in that footage that Scarab put out there, man, when that comes down, how long was that, man? How long was that video you did?
Oh, that video was almost 2 hours long.
2 hours long. It was
that was Matt's video, and I did the intro on it. And at the time, Matt had pulled.
You took the risk with everybody for it.
I went ahead and he sent me the copies of the video, and I checked it out, and I liked it a lot. And I asked him if I could upload the video, and he was like, "Okay, as long as you don't give me any credit." And I was like, "Man," and I went against what he said, because I was like, "There's no way I'm uploading this man's 2 hour freaking video on 9/11 and not putting his name in there somewhere."
Well, his voice is so recognizable anyway. He's got that sort of characteristic voice like you do. Everybody knows you just by your voice.
Well, I told him, I said, look, I called him up and I said, look, Matt, I put your name in there. And at first he was like, oh my God, I told you not to do that. I go, I know, Matt, but you don't understand, man. I mean, dude, that's your work. I'm not going to just, take
you
that
just
and not
didn't
give
want
you
to get a
credit.
visit from some alphabet group.
Well, and if they do, I can be like, well, is that crazy Matt McKinley over there up in, Pennsylvania? Go see him.
Right. Hey, well, Noble, let me ask Noble, did you see that, what we're talking about? Your pictures here, while we've got this up so people can understand that structure, how that went up, that dustification, did you see that, what Scarab put out on that one?
Yeah, it's a good video. I like Matt's work.
Those beams, what do you make of that? Because like I said, you're the thinker out here tonight.
The big 700-foot one that just fell down and got justified.
And it just sort of evaporated. Still beams evaporate. What do you make of that garbage, man?
There's definitely something going on. Whether it be kind of like what Judy Wood was pointing out with some sort of.
Hey, he ain't
I know.
Something going on. Big.
What's that guy? What's that crazy mad scientist guy that lived up in Canada? Remember that dude? They call it the something effect. It was the guy he was this crazy inventor dude who worked with I don't know, like some type of I think it was like frequency or electronics, where he could show how he could melt like solid steel beams.
So Judy Wood was showing that stuff, yeah.
Right, but there's another guy.
Through vibrations, you can basically make stuff fall apart.
Right.
At the molecular level.
Change
which
the
makes a
molecular
lot of sense.
structure. Dude, you just hit on something that is very important to the Mandela effect.
It is. It's all connected. Yeah.
Brother, think about this. And anybody in the chat room, I don't know. Do we got people in the chat room, brother?
Well, of course we have people. It's after hours, baby.
Oh, yeah, it's after hours, baby. I love that. Okay, listen, y'all. No kidding. Now, you said something right there. The frequency vibration, we know for a fact, quantum levels and whatever, we can go as far down as we want. But we know when we get down there to the bottom, we get to the energy and the string theories and all of these little molecular wonders of nature that we really can't see, but we know how to tear them apart. And you were talking earlier about this crashing of particles that they were doing. And when something's created, nothing can exist. People forget things, man. Certain laws of nature, nothing can exist without an equal or opposite. As a matter of fact, what was that girl you had in your show last time on that? If people ain't seen that Mandela Monday, they need to go back and watch that, man, even before they see this. Well, you can't do it before you see this. It's after hours. Forgive me, right? Oh, gee. So here's the thing. If they are using some sort of frequency to create, when they're smashing these things and they're creating this magnetic pulse like the Tesla kind of energies, and it affects the resonance, the Schumann resonance of our Earth. And I know you're well aware of that.
Yeah.
And so with that vibration, now think about this. What is people seeing with the Mandela Effect? We're literally seeing matter changing.
Right.
And dude, I hope, and I don't know, because the boss ain't let me see nothing. I can't even see the chat room, man. What kind of chains do you have on me, brother?
Oh, hey, by the way, that effect I was talking about earlier, prime time was I had to do it. Hey, no, seriously, the change was the Hutchinson effect.
What is
Remember
that?
Hutchinson? Have you looked into the Hutchinson effect? Oh yeah, Hutchinson. Yeah, he was an inventor.
Okay.
And apparently now he's working for the U.S. government. I think
Hutchinson sounds like one of those like old-timey bath salts or salves, you know.
Let me tell you, this guy was straight up like a mad scientist. He had all this old I don't know, man, but he was playing around with all this frequency stuff, and he figured out a way to like make fuse metals together with just vibrational frequency, apparently.
Wow.
He even created they sort of now, I don't, like I said, I don't know of any of this. I never
Have you seen how they cut holes, perfect holes in rock and stone, and make it, I mean, and all with frequency and vibration. It's amazing. And that's on YouTube. People can actually watch the dude doing it. He wanted to experiment how they were cutting these holes in some of these Egyptian things and the concrete and the kind of stones and stuff like over there.
Well,
what's that thing in Georgia? The Georgia guide stones. That's right.
Stone.
Yeah. Hey, it's after hours, baby.
Well, here's the thing.
You know they raid speakeasies if you start talking about the wrong thing.
Well, let's hope not tonight. Anyway, here's the thing though. I was watching a documentary about that, and it's really kind of crazy. One guy was saying that they're actually using old technology of blasting granite and then making it into a concrete. Then
wait a minute. How did you go to concrete from this mad scientist you were telling us? Hutchinson,
oh, well, I was going back to the Egyptian stuff, like you just.
Oh man! Now
I was like,
tell me more about this.
Okay, look, we got to focus, sir. Okay, so here's the thing.
Man, it's after hours, baby.
All right, so Hutchinson, we'll go to Hutchinson. I'll talk about that. So Hutchinson was a guy, I believe he was in Canada, and this guy, you can look up his work on YouTube, and it shows all kinds of weird stuff that he did, making bowling balls levitate, all kinds of crazy stuff. You know.
Wait a minute. He did what now?
He made a bowling ball levitate.
Okay, are you trying to sew a new head on me or something here?
Brother, I'm telling you. I'll pull it up, man.
There's a lot of claims that's how they moved a lot of the big rocks and structures in the ancient past. Essentially just hitting on drums or hitting sticks together. Remember me mentioning with the sticks? Hitting the sticks together?
Dude,
it's vibration. And if you can do the right matching vibration so it resonates onto something else, you will affect it.
Oh, listen. Hey. Boss, can I interject just for a minute?
You sure can. Go ahead.
Since it's after hours, and you know, people are settling down for the night and that kind of thing, I like to tell one little story to Noble just for a second here. Well, ain't nobody listening in. But no, I mean, they can listen in. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean turn the show off. I'm just saying we don't want him to realize, but we want to talk about this a minute. There was this old fella, because you're sort of an outdoorsman, right?
Yeah.
You like fishing real good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you hunt?
I did a little bit when I was younger. Yeah.
What did you hunt for?
Duck, rabbit. I don't like killing anything anymore like that. But
yeah, that's okay. Duck is a good one. Listen, this old fella, he was a duck hunter, right? And he had a dog. And his dog was getting illed up and sick. and had passed away, and the weekend had come for him to go duck hunting. And so he went over to one of his neighbors who had supposedly what was called the best duck dog in all Louisiana. Are you hearing what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
We're going from a molecular quantum level shift that switched everybody's reality, and we're going to a duck hunting dog, man. Are you hearing me in Louisiana? Hey, it's after hours, right?
What does this have to do? Where are you going with this?
Okay, so check this out. This fella, he goes over because his dog was ailing up and dying. He went over to that man, his neighbor, and he says to him, he says, well, I guess I ought to go into the story a little bit better. He says, hey, man, I'd like to borrow your duck dog. I heard you got the best of duck dog in all Louisiana. I want to borrow that duck dog. And so he talked him a deal up there, you know, and they switched some things around. And sure enough, he got that dog. And he told him before he goes, he says, now listen. He said, I want to tell you something before you take my dog out there. He said, my duck dog is the best duck dog in all Louisiana. And the reason being is because when that dog gets to the lake or a pond or any small body of water that's large enough to hold a couple of fowl, are you with me?
I'm with you.
You're in Canada, so I don't know if you can understand this kind of talking.
I'm following you.
Are you okay?
I'm in Texas and I'm barely following you. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's after hours, baby.
It's after hours, baby.
We gotta sit back, chill. That's what we're in the chiller upstairs for. Remember from the promo?
Right.
So this guy, he tells him, he says, before you take my dog out now, my dog, when it gets to one of them bodies of water I was telling you about, you can send him out there and he'll come back, and however many ducks is on that pond, he will bark and tell you the exact number of ducks on that body of water. That's why he's the best duck dog in all Louisiana. So I want you to take good care of him. That old fella, he said, man, I'll take a good care of your duck dog. You know I will. And he got that dog and he took off out. And he went out to a little pond just out down from his house there in the backwoods. And that duck dog, as soon as the scent of water got in the air, that dog took off running down that hill and went right out there and come flying back and barked 4 times, y'all. 4 times. That man, he went out there and he shot 4 ducks. He come back out there and he couldn't believe it, you know. So he went to a little bit bigger lake and he sent that dog out and it went out and it come back and it barked 8 times. That man went out there and he shot all 8 of them ducks. He said, this really is the best duck dog in all Louisiana. He said, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And so he takes that dog, he goes to another pond, he sends it out there. That dog comes back and barks 2 times. He said, wait a minute now, my number's going down. He goes out, he kills both ducks. He's all right with it. And he calls up his buddy and he says, man, I have borrowed my neighbor's duck dog and I'm out here hunting the ducks and you will not believe the duck dog I got. It's the best duck dog in all Louisiana. I put it out here at the water and it come back and tell me how many ducks on that water. So his buddy gets all warmed up and riled up and says, I know the biggest lake out here in Louisiana backwood, boy, and I'll tell you what we do. We go out there and we will go get us some ducks. And so that's what they did. They went out there to that duck pond, and this old boy, he sent that dog out there. Him and his friend, they was loading up them guns. They ready to go. That dog took off out there into the bush and back in behind that water. You know, he come running back and he picked up a stick and he's beating his friend on the leg with it. He threw that duck or that stick, picked it up, you know, didn't know what's going on at all. And the reason I'm telling this story, Noble, was because you was saying something about shaking a stick. That's what made this story happen. Hey, that's the way it works when you're after hours, baby. So this guy, he throws the stick down, and that duck dog, he runs out there, he picks up that stick. He throws it down, you know, and that dog goes on out. Well, anyway, this goes on for a little bit now. And that dog comes, or that man, eventually he shoots the dog. He throws him up over his shoulder, and he's got to go back and tell his neighbor. And so he does. He goes over there to his neighbor, and he says, man, here's your duck dog, the best duck dog in all of Louisiana. He's deader than 4 o'clock, and I shot him. I'm sorry. And the man said, what did you do to my dog? Because yours is Ellen, you going to shoot mine too? Are you trying to pull one of them wise Solomon tricks on me somehow, boy? He said, no. He said, I took that duck dog out there because he's the best duck dog in all Louisiana, you know. And I took him out to that water, that biggest lake I ever seen. That dog, he took off a flying down out through there. He come back, doggone, picked a stick up, and he started beating my friend on the leg with it. I picked the stick up and I threw it down, and he grabbed that stick, because all the ponds before your dog went out there, he barked once, he barked 6 times, 8 times, 2 times, whatever. I go out. He went out there and the dog lost his mind. I think he done went mad or something. And he went out there, oh, man. And when he come back that 14th time beating my friend on the leg with it, I said, that's enough, enough, enough. And I shot your dog. That man said, oh, don't you know what that dog was trying to tell you, boy? He's trying to tell you there's more duck out there than you can shake a stick at.
Oh, man. Jeez. Oh.
It's after hours, baby.
It's after hours. Oh, all right. So now, Noble, I want to ask you a question. Yeah. So we were back to the what brought you into this thing? What brought you into the event? So what was it, man?
My awakening moments to the Mandela Effect.
Yeah, yours.
Pretty heavy, man.
Get on with it.
My first 48 hours, my mind was almost out of my freaking skull. I tell you, I literally looked out the patio door like 2 or 3 times during those days to make sure everything looked the same. That's not a good sign.
Right.
No. But you know,
what was the first thing you noticed, man?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. There's a negative angle to this story, and I have another story that is very positive that I think makes up for
let me
some
ask you
sense.
Can I say something to you?
Mm-hmm.
These people in the chat room and people watching this show, hey, it's after hours, baby. They ought to be old enough to take the hard stuff with the good stuff, so you ain't got to make nothing positive. Because if it has a true nature and it's negative, it doesn't matter. It's still truth. It's truth, and truth is truth, whether it's negative or positive. They'll eventually balance themselves out in whatever way is necessary and in whatever way whomever sees necessary. But right now, we're in the speakeasy. The place is closed down. We got doormen. I think Suso might be on the sax, but he's working it and killing it, so he won't be in the shop tonight. But I'll tell you what, you got all the time in the world, because this is after hours, baby. And we want to hear your heart and your soul. We want your truth, because these people are experiencing the same thing in one form or another. And we all have something in common, whether we're spiritual, whether we're religious, whether we're empathetic, or whatever words you want to use. There is something, a bond of some sort, that has brought people from Canada and Texas and Tennessee and wherever else. I mean, Colorado and all over the world, man. Something has done something and has affected the people. This is big. This is reality. And if that isn't enough negativity already, I don't think whatever you bring to us is going to shock most of them, because most of them are here to hear everybody else's experiences. And brother, you were one to put some work out there to help share and spread the word. I still hope somewhere in this presentation, if you've got videos, boss man, of the flag event. Nobody's talked about that, and that was one of the things that blowed me away, brother. And you was the presentation you did on it. If people haven't seen that, they need to go over it. And I'll say this too, folks. Listen, out there, it's after hours, baby. Nobody's going to see what you do. Go over there and make sure you subscribe to NoblenessDee. And that's the truth, man. He's got a good channel, and he's doing some good things out there. And he's like us. He's affected. And so if it's negative, Noble, it's still truth, brother.
Well, go ahead, negative. And let us know what you know, man.
Go ahead, negative.
That's right, Photo. Yeah, I agree. Truth is truth. And no matter what reality, is or was, it doesn't change truth. There is only one truth.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm not on Facebook. I deleted that 7, 8 years prior. No social networking, living out different place. You know, I don't run into the stuff most people do. So I never heard about the Mandela Effect. And I was going on basically my second time around of investigating the Hempstead case. And there's another woman actually out of Canada, Fletcher, I forget her name. She's out of Ontario. She's a memory regression therapist. And so she was talking to somebody in an interview, and there was a Native woman there with her. And between the two of them, they were saying that children that have been through ritual abuse, numbers, she had said probably numbers like 1 in 3. The Native woman said, no, it's more like 2 in 3. I'm like, wow, you know, you're talking some big numbers in Western society. I think they were referring to for the most part. That's some big numbers. Maybe the whole world. Who knows what else goes on? And I'm like, well, like I grew up in a very strict Christian, very, very different. I mean, so fundamental and Orthodox style Christianity. People probably think I was either Jewish or something. Very, very different. So, you know, I thought, you know, of course, that wouldn't happen to me. You know, I'm protected. That's everyone's thought. You know, it didn't happen to me. But I heard these numbers, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy numbers. I'm like, what makes me think I'm so special, right? And I was like, well, let's just assume it did happen, or something did happen. Where did it happen? Boom! It was there. Like, I was like, oh my goodness. And the first thing I thought is, you bitch. I remembered the woman. Luckily, thank goodness, there's not a family member, not relative or close friends of the family. It was a different lady that used to take care of kids. And I was very, very young. I'm talking, I have memories coming back. That's something I should throw to even the audience and everybody, you know. I did meet one girl that she makes my story sound like a cakewalk. Like she had bad memories come back, like stuff you can't even put on TV, bad stuff that she went through, and it all came back to her. So what happens is that when things are done and there's rituals done, there's a memory block put in. Most of the time the kids are also drugged, which this had happened. I don't just remember a little bit. The more I thought about it, the more I remembered. Like everything, the ice cream, ladies tripping.
Okay,
other people.
Let me ask you a question, because I just want to make sure that I'm at least following. It is after hours. With this experience and this thing that you're telling me about these ritual abuse things, is that and again, I don't mean to pry. It's after hours, and you know, we're just humans amongst humans trying to figure out what in the freak is going on in our world, and what has brought us all together. So I don't mean to pry too far, brother. I just
give her.
Okay, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, no. The memories are totally like a movie. There's no emotion with them. So
okay, so when I ask a question, of a nature, it's not because I'm suspecting or anything, and not expecting you to share one way or the other. Don't lie for my sake, obviously.
I don't lie.
Just say I don't want to comment, right? No comment. But seriously, this stuff, is this something that has occurred with you in your life? I just want to make sure that everybody understands what you're describing here.
This is something I recalled happening to me and other kids. Yes.
Okay. Do you have any memories of age? Like how far back can you remember your age?
Before the Mandela Effect,
yes.
I never thought I remembered anything before the age of 5 or 6. After the and that's what happened. This released memories of I'm talking, I was 2 or 3 years old. I'm in a diaper and I fall down, sit on my butt most of the time. I'm in a high chair. I remember everything. I remember the ice cream was too hard and one woman was all worked up and most of the kids were watching TV. I'm sitting right there in the high chair watching them. She's all worked up because the ice cream's too hard to mix it in. She's like, just start it. And I watched where they put the little container of some sort of drug away in the counter. Everything, man, as we ate, and every time I lifted my head back up, there was one less kid there, and they were taking us out to the garage where they had the candles, the freaking star on the floor, the freaking robes and nothing on underneath.
And
I
this,
started crying. Like I wanted
Wow.
to get, I knew it wasn't right. So I started like belting crying, trying to get the other kids to cry because they weren't responding because they're all drugged likely, right? And I don't want to go through everything step by step, but I remembered enough details. This isn't just, you know, oh, this happened. No, I remember all kinds of stuff. Sometimes I'm blacked out, you know, so I don't remember.
And this has all come to you just since the Mandela Effect. This is how
right. What I suspect has happened is because their memories have been messed with.
Okay.
It's broken down barriers that are, I assume, are put up during the ritual. And probably people say trauma based. I'm not too sure if it's a trauma, what it does, or if there's a spell or something. Something blocks memories besides the drugging assists a lot in that situation.
Can I ask you something here? Well, just go ahead and go with the way you're going right now.
Right. So I remembered there was more than one incident. There was an incident that I was targeted, and whether it was a year later or, you know, months later, I don't know.
What do you mean?
They got me only. Like the first time around, it was all the kids in a circle. And then this time around, maybe they went one by one. I don't know what
You might have been
the
the first
kids
one
were.
out.
I'm not sure, but at the very least, it seemed like I was targeted, honestly.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you some shit. And
Hey,
it's people, any Christians out there, are going to start questioning me. But I had something very
can I say one
beautiful
thing?
happen long after the fact that I think fixed everything.
Can I ask your opinion on one thing and then get on with your story here?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have some Christian heritage or background, and you're probably well aware of what a lot of people are dealing with in this about Bible changes and different scriptures or different books altogether, and you're aware, so that's affected some people. But there was scripture written. We know that it talks about a famine for the hearing of the word of God and things like that. And you know, I'm a pretty staunch Christian. Well, and Dan is, but I mean, you know that. And we're just like anybody else trying to find answers to these things that has affected us all, according to some of the prophecies. And there's a prophecy that says in these end days, as it were, that, and again, paraphrasing a little, that God's Spirit would pour out upon all flesh.
Right.
And your young men would dream or see visions, and your old men would dream dreams, and your sons and your daughters would prophesy. And we're seeing that all over YouTube. People's prophesying about everything, man. But here's the deal. I want to know what's your opinion, because I'd heard you mention a couple times about God and this whole makeup of things, and people know where I stand, so I can play devil's advocate. It's after hours. It's after hours, baby.
Well, I got to tell you, this story is great. I'm really starting to dig it, so I want to hear what he has to say. But also, too, it almost sounds like, golly, man. It's. I thought you were going to tell me you were part of a cloning center for a second there. You know, it was getting creepy, man. Like,
possibly just startling.
Yeah.
And the more I hold off, the more I'm deciding I'm going to say. I don't care anymore, right?
Okay, so
I'll tell you where I stand with God is I used to have a lot of hope, a good portion of faith. There's things, a little this, little that, little off things. You think, yeah, there is a God. No, after the Mandela Effect, after I remembered this thing and the next thing involving two different spiritual situations of memory, I know there's no faith, as in I believe. There is no believe. I know. And knowing is very powerful. It's a difference.
I like that.
And actually, churches, there's a lot of botched things in churches. They've separated the spiritual world and the physical world, and it's not. It's all together. It's all the same thing. Not the same thing, but it is. It's combined. It is all one.
Can you say what
knowing is very, very powerful.
Say that again. Knowing is very, very powerful. Dude, that needs to be a T-shirt on you. You know what I'm saying? Knowing is very, very powerful.
Yeah. So, you could say believing will get you halfway, knowing will get you all the way.
Oh, dude, you were raised in an old backwoods Christian home, weren't you?
Dude, this is a lot of my experience stuff now. This is the Mandela Effect coming out. I had a journey, dude. Like crazy
Well,
stuff.
share with us. Keep going. Keep going. I want to hear more.
So the next time, another memory I have is that it was Kool-Aid that was fed, which I love the Kool-Aid. It's great. I did grow up not really eat a lot of sugar, so Kool-Aid's great. Down that, boom, pass right out, fall down on. But the weird thing is, even when I was unconscious, I'm still kind of almost like lucid dream. I'm still kind of aware, or sometimes I am, even though I'm out cold. You know, I don't know. I'm pretty strong against drugs anyway. So it seemed like I was targeted this other time around, and had Kool-Aid. They took me down the basement. This woman took me down the basement this time. We got down there, and there is like at least a half a dozen adults down there, all in robes, some black, some red. There's like this altar freaking pedestal thingy. They sat me on that. I think there was some time, so maybe she went back upstairs. I started bawling. Like, I don't want to be here, right? Started bawling. Somebody dropped their hood and said, "Oh, you know me," and I won't get into that, but yeah, another cocksucker. Somebody I'm not too happy with now. These people are not in our lives, nobody's lives anymore. That was in the past, but still, it's sickening who these people pretended to be, you know, as good people, and they weren't clearly. Wolves in sheep clothing. So here's where it goes sideways, man. They got around me. I think they got some more Kool-Aid actually to calm me down. They got around me and started doing some sort of, not a chant, but like a spell or something where you go through like 2-3 sentences of something. And they did it once, and they're like, again, they did it again. And I can't believe I'm telling everybody this. But it's kind of necessary.
Can I ask you a question right here, though?
No, not yet. Just wait.
Are you married or
no.
somebody?
I have no life anymore. I've walked away from the world.
Okay, when all this was going on and you were recalling these memories, is what I'm asking, really. Was there anybody else in your life? Like, did you have a wife or a girlfriend or any friends? I mean, that would have that you might have talked or consoled with or something, or maybe thought you were going crazy when you started realizing this, or are you expressing this now here for the first time? I mean,
I've told a couple people, yeah, that actually knew these other people, but that's about it.
Who did you?
But it's not bad to me. Like I said, the memories are sort of just bland. It's just
Right.
Memories, right? They're not emotional connected. When you're drugged anyway, you're not. I don't know.
All right.
It's
All right,
so
look.
young. I gotta finish.
So yeah.
Go.
No, I want you to finish now because you're in the basement.
Yeah, there's people around me. They're going through some sort of ritual, freaking saying.
Okay, now who?
Most of them are strangers I've never seen in my life.
Okay.
One or two. There's a woman of the household and somebody else that I would recognize. Most of them are complete strangers, but their hoods are up. But I know anyway. As a kid, I just know they're strangers, even though I can't see their face.
And you're in the bottom
kids,
of the
and you know
what basement are you in?
The same house as before.
The same house as before.
And the rest of the kids were left upstairs. So
where was your mom and dad during this time?
It's just a place where people had kids of their own, and they took care of kids too, and kids stay overnight and whatever, you know. It's just
like what we would call down here in America a daycare kind of concept.
Oh yeah, it was evening. Just friends of friends, and kids get together and hang out and have overnights and whatever, right?
All right. Fair enough. All right, finish up, sir.
They go through some sort of ritual wording, and it's like the first time around it didn't work. And then I hear the woman, because I think the woman's actually in charge, and she's wearing a red robe. I think there might have only been 1 or 2 other red robes. I'm assuming that's a level up from the black or something. And she goes again, and they go again. She's like, again, faster. And then they start going faster and raising their voice, like they're being loud. And somehow I ended up outside of my body, looking back at it, and a freaking vortex opens over my effing head, and something comes out of it. And I only have like 2 or 3 flashes of it, what it looked like. The best I can describe it is like a gremlin, gray blob with skinny, longish arms, freaking screeching this thing, man, trying to get into like reality, and like it was almost being tore apart on some level, trying to get into reality, just trying to get in, going for me. And I, like I said, only had 2 or 3 flashes of what it looked like, and even then they're kind of pretty foggy. But I remember the screeching; it was pretty horrific. And then they stop after, you know, multiple times and saying it louder and louder. And I hear one of the women, the other women go, "Did it work?" And this woman was terrified when she talked. Most of them were half terrified. And the other woman, the one in charge, said it's good enough. So I don't know how much of you guys watch, and not that I approve of everything, but some David Icke stuff. He mentions a similar type of scenario. And essentially it's like it's some sort of freaking leech or parasite.
Well, Dan,
that is latched onto you and exists off of your higher vibrations or your higher energy, because it can't normally exist within this reality.
Yeah,
boss. I was just going to ask you what he's talking about right there. You had some pictures or something about this that somebody you knew with that you could see these entities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something a fair bit different.
I don't want to share those publicly, but I have a picture of a guy that's going through a meditation process, and in the mirror you can see there is and I can't even take responsibility for this. Angie found it, but there's a what looks like well, I have to ask PhotoHelix on this one. What's the Bible passage about the frogs? Like
the 3 frogs. I believe it's in the book of Revelation. Ask a hey, phone a friend. This is After Hours, baby.
No. I don't want to get
what chapter.
I don't want. Yeah. Oh no, I just want to know. Yeah, maybe. Oh, in the chat room. Yeah.
Ask them. They can be looking up the chapter. But here's the deal.
Right.
3 frogs that would come forth as evil spirits.
Right. They were likened to. Yeah. The demons were likened to frogs, and you can see this entity which looks frog-like in the mirror, dude. It's really trippy. And then of course I've got another back? Sir,
is it on his back or neck?
No, it's on his back, but it's looking at him through the mirror, through the reflection. You can see
it's crazy, man.
You can see its eyes glowing. You can see it's totally like it's a very kind of frog-like looking creature. It's weird, man. And then I've got another picture that a friend sent me of what I call the archons, which are basically 3 entities. You have a gray, you have a reptilian, and you have another type of entity. It looks like he's wearing sort of a helmet, and it's weird, man. And there's something, I'm telling you, in the shadows that seems to be working on us. And I think that by the grace of God, you know, those who are Mandela affected, I think have been broken of that spell. And I think there was something going on there. And it's really interesting you bring this point up, man. And I know you said something earlier about there's something that happened to you that is something good. And I'm really looking forward to what you're going to say there, because I tend to think that whatever that was happened to me, but I want to hear your story. So this is really fascinating to me.
So yeah, and I definitely want to include the other story, because it's the whole point that, yeah, well, I'm hoping, or I don't think that whatever it was that happened was reversed. That situation got reversed as I got maybe only a few years older, by the grace of God, through an act, a miracle-ish sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the whole point of all that, one, is to point out there's some real crap that I know now. There is entities, like literally I've seen it, you know, in that negative one, for that negative one. Also, the other main point is that the Mandela effect, for some reason, broke down memory blocks, memory barriers, and helped me remember things from an age that shouldn't even really be possible. So the other big event that I ended up remembering, pretty huge story, and I don't know, I imagine quite a few you people seeing the video I did on the map, the booklet, the oil reserve depiction of the world, and it shows North and South America kind of properly. That that is something that was, it's so crazy, dude. It's like, it's so crazy how everything happened. There probably is no time, so it's not as crazy as it appears to us, but where to start? Okay, so I remember I did the video for that, and I didn't even remember this till a couple of days later. Somebody left a comment, said it's going to end up changing. I said it ain't going to change. It's protected. And I remembered a couple of days later, the more I tried to think about that booklet when I was a kid. So, and this is going to sound unbelievable, and it's probably like, it sounds like I'm putting myself in some light or something. I don't think I'm any more special than anybody else, and you know, but we all are here for a reason. And I don't know why this happened exactly. Maybe it was just for my own good. But I can remember now being a child, probably 6 years old or so, at my grandmother's, looking at an atlas. I loved, even back then, I loved maps. I couldn't even read a word on it, but I loved maps. I'm looking at this big atlas book. And I guess I must have had that booklet with it opened. And both of these are shown in my video, that atlas and the booklet that shows a world and the continents in the right place, or at least North and South America for sure. And so I'm there, very young age, kind of in the hallway off by myself. And apparently I'm chatting away, just having a good old time chatting away to my imaginary friend. And it turns out it's not an imaginary friend, it's my guardian angel, most likely. I've known this thing, I've known this entity, not that I'd ever seen it visually, but it's like it's there and it's a part of me, and I've known it since I was born. It would come and protect me when I was in my crib, when dark, gloomy stuff would try to get into me, and he would come and they would scurry like freaking cockroaches. And but he didn't always get there really quick. They protect you. They're your guardian angels. And so I'm just having a good old time chatting away, blah, 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 talking to him. This blows my mind that all this crap comes back to me. And he goes, somebody's here to see you. And I'm sitting on the floor. I'm like, oh? He goes, yeah, somebody's here to see you. He goes, he's behind you right now. And I look over my right shoulder, and there is some huge, golden, glowing, very, very stern, extremely powerful, probably 8 or 9 foot tall entity behind me. Now, I actually think it had wings, although you couldn't really see it. It was propped up from maybe like the bits from above, just popping up above the shoulders a little bit when they're folded in, like literally wings. Like, I would never think this. I'm not that, you know, a lot of these things I would never assume, like from the church I grew up in, like, yeah, it's dumb. No, I didn't really think angels have wings. No, they have wings. Someone's here to see you. So I look behind me, I see this thing, and it's very nice looking, like beautiful. And I turn my head back and I'm like shaking, because not because there was any negative to it, but it was so powerful and so stern. Because like your imaginary friend is very in tune to kids, you know, or to you. And like a kid, it's like a kid and an adult. We'll take a kid, you know, kid communicating or being with a kid, or a kid being with an adult, and then multiply the adult by like 1,000. That's how powerful and stern this thing was. Like, just freaking scared the hell out of me. And I turn back and I'm like shaking. And he goes, my imaginary friend says something, and I don't remember the words exactly for this, but he says something about him going into me.
Okay, did you wait? You said your imaginary friend, is that what you called it?
Yeah, my guardian angel.
Okay, I'm with you.
And I'm like, no, I'm like shaking, because the only thing I know of is that when things try to get into you, it's horrific. Like when I was in a crib and things would come try to get into you that are actually more or less demons or something, and they get scared off. You're not supposed to let that happen. You're supposed to fight that. And I was like, no, I remember trembling, like, no. And he goes, no, it's all right. He's allowed. And for some reason, when he said that, somehow as a child, I knew that at that moment, not that I figured it out at that moment, but because of that moment, I know that there is a God and he's in charge. He's the allowed. He's the one that says you're allowed. If you know what I mean. It's almost like I knew there was a greater a power or a greater something in charge. And I knew of it. Whatever. We know of our Father, I think, as children.
Right.
Very
I
young
agree with that.
children.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and so this means to me that it's kind of like when if your parents tell you to go clean your room, well, you have to go clean your room. You don't have a choice in the matter, but you have to decide to go clean it. And it was the same thing for me. I had to agree to it. And at first I was like shaking, like, no. And then he's allowed. Like, all right. So he gave me a moment, like, okay, I'm ready. And I wasn't really ready. I honestly, as a freaking toddler, I had balls. Like, all right, because I just knew everything was going to be okay because he's alive. But I was still fairly nervous. He goes, and my guardian angel's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure. He goes, "All right, put your hand on the whatever paper, I guess, whatever he said, and which is the freaking booklet." And I put my left hand on where North and South America is. And I feel this cape, like a cape feeling come over me, which I assume is his wings actually, and then just sink into my back. At that moment, I was basically paralyzed. And this, whether it be warm and glowingness, came from between my hand and the paper. And then boom, it was over just like that. Like the moment it started, it was like, we're talking maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds max, and it was over. He's gone. I was like, yeah, that was it. Oh, that was nothing. I was worried over nothing. Yeah, I was scared to death. So at that moment, I knew that it was special, And I remember multiple times over putting my hand there. I'm going, this is here and that is there. This is here. And it shows you where things are. Like, this is freaking retarded, man. Like, as if I must have known somehow indirectly that it was important that North America is there and South America is there.
Can I ask you?
It just blows my mind.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yep. I got a bunch.
Do you? How many brothers and sisters do you have?
An older brother and sister. And a younger sister. Yep.
Do you think those other kids that you were having memories of or something might have been them?
Yes.
So it could have been your whole family, basically, at least your siblings and maybe some other whatever, right?
A few families.
Yeah. Has anybody in the chat room experienced something like that, brother, here at the After Hours Club and Speakeasy? What do you got going on?
I believe a lot of people have, yeah, and a lot of people resonating with this story because I think a lot of us had, similar experiences when we were kids, and I know so many people have experienced some type of a situation where, there was some type of intervention, and I know for me personally, I had one, as a child. In fact, I would say that it's kind of crazy because I went through some type of experience similar to you, Noble, but it was like, I don't know, it was very dark, and it was, and I was having nightmares and all this other stuff. But I remember trying to fight these things off, at night, and I remember it felt like I was being attacked by something when I was slept. Yeah, and I remember there was a situation where it all ended whenever I remember I was, it was in a dream, at least I felt like it was in a dream. But it was a very real waking dream, and I was just a child. You gotta remember, I had no concept of Christianity or heaven or hell or anything like that. But I know the place I was at was heaven, and I had this situation where I was taken to this place, and there was these angels, these beings. And I was in this beautiful place. This gorgeous, like lush green. It was like the Garden of Eden, And I remember these angels having this discussion, and I can only describe them as angels because, they were there for whatever reason to help me out. But I remember, when I remember one of them said I had to leave and I had to go back. And never in my life have I ever had a dream where I went into a dream and there was a place I didn't want to leave. Okay. Never. But whatever this place was, I did not want to go back here. Okay. So I can only say to you that from the beauty of this place, by the spirit of those beings around me, the goodness in their heart that they were talking about, that, and I was there for a reason. And I think that was mainly to remove the trauma of what happened to me when I was a child, and so that's,
Hey, boss, can you elaborate? I mean, because I mean, it's after hours, man.
well,
And
I
well,
can
here's
just
the
tell
thing.
you, yeah, I can just tell you this. It was, we were living in a place in California, and the place had a lot of, satanic worship surrounding it. And we didn't do it, I mean, but like around the area there was a lot of talk of Satanism and things like that, a lot of cults and all kinds of stuff. There was stuff. I asked my mom about it later in life, because I told her about the dream that I had and what happened to me, and she said, wow, well, that's weird, because the house we lived in California was known to be where they performed satanic rituals, and we didn't know that when we moved in.
Wow.
And so there was a lot, yeah.
How old were you?
Oh God, I was probably about 4 years old. Yeah.
Can you tell us more?
Well, all I can tell you is that it seemed like I was being like, it was on a scale of being attacked by like a demonic presence, where I was, like I was seriously like and it seemed like it was happening more in like a dream state, but it was like waking up at night, totally, scared out of my mind. I remember having, this like horrible dreams. I mean, all types of things. And I mean, my mom thought, what's wrong with my child? What is wrong with him? He, obviously there's something going on. And I remember feeling like I was being suffocated. I felt like whatever these things were, they were manifesting.
You're right. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, I felt like they were manifesting in reality. Okay, I will describe it as a dream, because as my child mind would describe something like this, but it almost felt like it was, something that was coming literally out of the walls to attack me. And
like a black smokish effect.
Yeah, like shadow creatures in that sense. Yeah,
I remember a very kind of like almost a smoky-ish sort of floating in, towards my crib and whatnot.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's very dreamish.
What were they feeding you in your bottle, man?
Man, no kidding, right? Well, no, it's crazy, right? Like and I'm just telling you guys, it all ended that the day I was taken. Okay, when I had that, then and at one point in time there was mercy given to me by God, because I'm telling you, I had that dream, and all of it ended the minute whatever they did by pulling me up there erased whatever had happened to me before. You know what I'm saying? It was like I was reborn.
So let me ask you, okay, so both y'all had these traumatic experiences that you have memories of in childhood, and both dealing with basically the dark side of nature, the dark side of our world. This is well, it's after hours. We can go there, can't we, boss?
Sure.
This is a rough place for everybody right now, y'all. It makes me want to cry. Now, I'm telling you the truth. Now, I cut up with y'all on here and have a good time. And I appreciate Dan so much. But this is a big thing. This is a tremendously big thing that has happened, that many people have theories, theologies, ideologies, if you want. There's so many ologies going on, and nobody's quite got 100% grasp why all of these things are occurring. Because you see, we've got this spiritual nature, we've got this concept and construct in our civilization, in our societies, and in our minds. And when we start remembering these things that are past because of the Mandela effect, we have to question in some ways. Now listen to me, y'all. Don't take this wrong. We're looking at it, as Noble said, the thinker. You got to look at every angle and every aspect, every possibility that could possibly happen in this day and age, because the realities of deception are so overwhelming in this world that everybody believes everything they hear. They believe everything they see, except for the fact if it's true. When it's the truth, people run from that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that truth sometimes. But all the people tuned in here, brother, are experiencing these things. And so I have to ask this question. Does this ring tell of what all was going on during Pizzagate? Maybe where it's some leaking exposure? Or is this just the supernatural evil side of mankind playing dark realms and demonology and calling forth things from the other side?
That's why I've always brought up things like the movies, Monsters Incorporated. You know, I always bring that stuff up because in
Gremlins.
Okay, explain
like my Pet Monster.
Yeah, Monsters Incorporated was the idea that monsters would come through a doorway, a portal. Let's just call it, because they would be doors. They were portals, and they would come through the portals, and they would seek children at night, and they were, they were scaring them to steal their energy off of them, suck off their energy.
Really?
And then in the movie,
I've never seen it.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what
it's horrible.
Ain't that the one where
it resonated with me because I'm like, Jesus,
kidding.
man, that feels like exactly what was happening to me.
Ain't that the one where the more fear that was produced? Now, this is what our society elite, whoever the 6 corporations are that own these media outlets, that everything you see and hear, and even YouTube and Google and all of that, I mean, we're always being watched and monitored, even in our little backroom speakeasy. The fact is, man, we're playing in a dangerous world, and some things have taken place on such a large scale, but a very few number are having, when I say few, I mean compared to the world population. And the ones we're seeing, is this some of that bleeding out, the Pizzagate concepts, the evil destruction behind scene doors, where these elite or elitists, or even rumors from the Vatican City of some of these pedophilia rings and different places where people are eating other people because that's part of their rituals. And I mean, we're talking some deep, dark things, y'all. But it is after hours, I guess, right?
Well, it is after hours. And I think this thing is like, in my opinion, okay, these are there is something out there that does feed off of us, and unfortunately, I think it always tries to attack the most innocent. They want the innocence of children. That's why Pizzagate and stuff like that really resonates with me. It really hurts me to my soul to think that that kind of stuff even takes place. And the fact that once I researched it, what's even more disturbing about Pizzagate as a researcher, so I started looking into it myself. And as you look into it, the images that are available to the public regarding child pornography and things like that are so god awful that in widely accessible that I almost think that maybe the idea of putting that out there was to put the idea and to put that imagery in people's minds. So I stopped looking at it. The first, I'm seriously,
You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And actually, I'll tell you what.
It worse. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's almost like it was so disturbing. And I said, you know what? I went to the first image group. I opened it up looking for Pizzagate stuff. And I saw some things that were like hanging in art galleries that are literally the most disgusting. I can't even repeat them. And I said, you know what? This is it. I'm done. I'm shutting this shit down, because what it is,
you can't look at that.
You can't even look at it. You cannot look at it, because it's and if you think you can look at that stuff and
once you've seen it, man, what was it you said in that first show, I think, that you and I done? What once you've seen it, you can't unsee it?
That's right. You cannot, the eyes cannot unsee.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is like,
if you pray on it, you can a little bit.
Yeah. No. And all I'm saying is, you turn away from that kind of stuff, man, because it was twofold. I think it was mainly, to put it out there in the public conscious that this stuff is out there and available, and allow other people who would be less susceptible to looking away, give them access to it, because they would be curious. And I think it's just disgusting. And I was like,
Curiosity kills the cat.
You know, something that crosses my mind, though, there's a place in Scripture, and you guys know I'm always going to end up going there once or twice. But there's a place in Scripture that talks about man, and again, I'm paraphrasing. If you want to call a friend for Scripture reference, I'm sure somebody in the room might. Ultimately, it says that because men being the way they are, God would fill his kingdom with children. Now, here's why it makes that interesting. Here you are. You've got the concept, the Christian God, the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, that one, you know, that the one claimed. The creator from that idea, Christian Judaic, that would fill his kingdom with children, basically because of the pride and the just man's overall ignorance and foolishness and denial even. We don't want to be bothered by other things. I mean, we like the concept of God, don't get me wrong. But ultimately, here we see that God's prized possession is probably the innocence of these children. They're the most angelic, the most angel-like creatures, as far as humans are concerned, on the earth. Even in animal form, the babies are the ones with innocence. If you get into some of these real dark circles, since we're going there and it's after hours, folks, if you can't hang with the big boys, get out of the room. Here's the deal. Since we're going there, in some of these deep, dark circles where they draw all these little different symbols using the holy names of God, they do, because they try and control the demonics that they raise up. Everybody knows that the whole Freemasonry is built upon the Masonic concept, Tubal Cain, my brother Dan, right? Huh? And we're going out there looking at the Freemasonry in everything, everywhere. And that goes all the way up to the Rothschild, the crosses and things in the Vatican, and all the way up. You follow the dollar, you follow the money, you know how it all works, and all these programs made to change frequencies and put up more towers and create all kinds of weird things happening in our minds these days, aren't they, people? Everybody's panicky. Why? Because your reality isn't what you think it is after all. And for those that have their belief systems on one thing or the other, we come to find out that the evil of this world, the Luciferian angel of light, if you will, is preying on our children globally. We know from the Pizzagate stories and all those things broken, and we can listen to these two fine gentlemen here in the After Hours Club. And we can understand that many of you in the chat room and those that have acknowledged such, thank you for sharing. We live in a terrible world, y'all. And the times, they are a-changing. And this is what's happening. My question to you, Noble, Boss Man Dan, the Scarab Beetle. Hey, you guys, why? Why is this happening?
It's a big question, man. A very big question. Dan,
okay, talk hours.
You want to answer or put your two takes on that? I'm going to take like 30 seconds out too. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I thought about this so much, and after talking with Noble tonight and listening to what he has to say about everything, I think there is something happening with some certain people that for whatever reason, because we're lovers of the truth, okay, because we're lovers of the truth, there's something that's allowing us to see. And maybe people are getting downloads. Maybe there's, you know, things are shifting around, things are happening. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem to affect us as much. I'm not saying everything, but for the most part, for them, you know, as much. And too many people are seeing this. Too many people are bearing witness to this. And we all know that, you know, most of us can feel it in a sense. And we feel, you know, and I call it like a quickening of sorts, because it does. It feels like time is speeding up. It feels like there's more anxiety. It feels like, though, you know, we're fastly approaching that edge of that cliff. Now, what does that mean? Well, you know, in the Bible, it talks about this in great detail, and you know, and there's a lot of ideas about what may be happening. But at the same time, you know, at the end of the day, okay, at the end of the day, you know, God is supposed to create a new heaven and a new earth. So, you know, if that's the case, then you know what? That's great. You know, 1,000 years of reign of Christ on earth, and you know, we're supposed to live in harmony and everything else. So if that's really the end game, then so be it. There's nothing to be afraid of. So that would be my message to many people is, you know, don't, you know, yeah, it's scary. And yeah, you know, we're here to document, we're here to be the, as you would say, photo, the watchman on the wall. I truly believe that. And I think that, you know, right now, this really is just for those who can see. And I don't, you know, I don't know why we were chosen, but the main thing I can say about most of the Mandela people is from you know, from the ones I've spoken to, and I've spoken to many, I would say that most people out there are, number one, lovers of the truth. And they're not all, you know, God-fearing people. They're not all, you know, some are atheists, some are from all walks of life. And you know what? They are still your brothers and sisters as well. So I would say, you know, just, you know, try to have you know, an open heart for them and pray for them. And, you know, and I think that God has chosen them to see for a reason too. So obviously, you know, they're with you just as, you know, many others are. So that's my take on it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a spiritual war going on. It has been going on for a long time. But in what I do know, and that's why there has been, I don't know if you want to call it interventions or missions or things that different angels do in behalf of the situation. And I could say of the war, but I think from God's perspective, it's not a war. But on our level and the angels level, it could be viewed as that. But it's there in the long run, there's no worries, right? Good's going to win. It's just a question as to how many people learn or understand or make the right choice when the day comes, or how hard will we fall, I think is also variable. And that's my big thing is, you know, I could go in my corner and you know, and be religious and loving and whatever. That's fine for me. But I'm more concerned about everybody else. I'm concerned about society. All of humanity is in big trouble. And I think the more that people can wake up to the spiritual aspect of what's happening and the evils that be, the lighter our fall will be, the softer our fall will be. But everybody, and actually even biblically, I can almost prove it. Almost no church follows it. I wouldn't say I can prove it, but I can show the way it is, most likely, because it isn't solid one way or the other.
It's hard to prove anything in this world right now.
Right, but most churches think you accept Jesus before you die, and if not, you're shit out of luck, and that's not what it says at all. There's things that kind of angle in that direction, or there's assumptions made for that, but you can actually pretty much prove, like it's God will that everybody makes it to heaven. So if it's God's will, that means everybody has to have that opportunity.
Yeah, because he says
your book is written, your name is written in the book. What are the two books of Revelation?
Okay, hold on.
Right, is your name written in the book of life? Well, what does it take to get it written there? You might only have to do one good deed in your life to have that opportunity. You could be written in both books. Like, we don't really know, right?
Hey, boss man, throw the man. No, I'm just
sorry. Go ahead.
After hours. You threw 1,000 questions in one statement, brother. You got to slow a little bit. It's relax time. Chill out in the speakeasy and after hours club. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Man, you threw a lot of stuff there. I got to go back to where I was wanting to hit you with that first question I had for you. I want your opinion on this. Here's the thing. So to speak, my forte is sort of scripture concepts, right? And so anything we talk about, for the most part, like you said, you can prove something. We have to do that. And because a majority, I won't say a majority, but a large population, a large part of people who are staying up this time of night for whatever reason have different concepts of a deity, and we understand that. Some think that, and I don't understand this, that the aliens are what seeded us here. And well, okay, then who created the aliens? I'm not going to say there's not things up there, because we know of the angelic hosts. They're called hosts. They're called, help me out, Dan, man.
Well, sir, the one, like I've always said, one man's alien and another man's demon. And I think that that's where we're mistaken. I think that's one of the biggest deceptions there is that we seem to think that these things are coming from, star systems, all these, ways, like, different galaxies and stuff like that. But the problem is that I always refer back to that famous Art Bell radio show where Art Bell is taking a call and the guy calls in and he says, he's pretending now. And it was a fake call, but the guy calls in. He says, I used to work for Area 51. I just got recently released. And what we think is aliens are extra dimensional beings. And I think he was speaking some truth, or at least he was too close to the truth, because their broadcast got shut off the air. They lost the whole broadcast.
I remember.
Yeah. And I was, I'm not saying that's, 100% factual, like, where the guy was, I'm not saying that, some of that, couldn't have been maybe, I think what it was a joke originally between him and Art Bell. But I think what he said was hit too close to home. I think what he was saying, and they were kind of worried, like whoever was listening on the other end might have shut down the broadcast because they thought, oh my God, we have somebody rogue here that might spill the beans.
But didn't that guy call in again at a later date?
Yeah, he did.
And his whole story had flipped.
His whole story was that he,
in other words, had been visited and told us, you better shut up, boy.
Well,
Maybe?
I don't know. That's my point. And my point is this, is that we're dealing with, this has always been a spiritual battle. And I think that many people want to put a face on it with these entities or whatever. And I've seen too many proofs being sent to me. And I don't believe that this was done randomly. I believe this was done for a reason, where things have been shown to me. And I know these people. I've gotten to meet these people now, and I've gotten to really, talk to them. I've talked to them multiple times. One guy even invited me to his wedding, the Bill who sent those photos of what I would call archons. Now,
hey, yeah, can you put that picture back up while you're talking there? That you never did really actually touch on that.
I did put the picture up for people to see.
But you didn't tell nobody what it was.
No, I put arrows above them to show people what. Yeah, well, I mean,
freaky though when you tell it. It's more of like a monkey's paw ghost story. It's
not,
after hours.
Not the monkey paw. Oh man, but yeah. So yeah, that's what I would say. That I think that we're just dealing with, and what people would call jinn or archons or demons or whatever. And it's just funny, when we go back to Aleister Crowley, we know that he was in contact with an extra dimensional being, and when he drew this being, what did it look like? It looked like a gray alien.
That's right.
And they've been trying to push that narrative in our psyche forever, that the gray aliens are going to be our buddies.
And what was his name? What was his name? That Aleister had named
Aleister Crowley? Lamb.
And
Lamb.
If you look at it, Lam. What if that was a capital I? It could be IM.
Yeah, like it was deceiving him. Like he's saying, right. I am. Yeah. Yeah, they might have just changed the name to Lamb. It makes you wonder, because these things have been known. That's the thing, right? Is we've been told, man, guys, if you don't, my God, look into some of the magicians. If you go back and look, there was a Masonic magician, and he even wrote in his memoirs that,
you got to clarify, we're not talking like stage magic, are you?
No, I'm talking about these
they made the Statue of Liberty disappear with cameras and curtains.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think the black magicians, like real BS is not BS, but real crap is it's growing.
Yeah, magic with a
There's more happening lately.
Have you noticed that? Have you noticed
some crazy crap, man, and people are just loving it.
Yeah, and it's insane. It's like, and it's like, you got this guy. Oh, what is his name? The guy out of England. I want to say
that Hutchison guy you were talking about, the scientist.
no. It's just there's a magician, and it's like he's like David Blaine. He's kind of on that lines where he does that kind of magic. It just almost blows you away.
He got some good wire tricks, man.
Yeah, well, David Blaine probably, there's a lot of trickery there, but I think that, here's the thing. If you read some of these memoirs of these magicians, they'll tell you that most good magicians, the ones that aren't just, doing sleight of hand, take on a spirit entity.
Yeah.
And the spirit entity is something that helps them in their act. It helps them perform.
Aleister Crowley drew, and this is public knowledge. People can look this stuff up if they want to dig into these darker realms. But I wouldn't suggest you dig there to do anything other than learn the enemy. In the reality of things, you're going to have a light and a dark, a good and a bad.
Express the fake news. Yeah, that's who the guy was. You guys got to check out this dude named Dynamo.
Who got that one in the chat room?
Right, I know.
Yeah, Dynamo. Look up Dynamo, man. If you guys haven't seen this dude's magic, man, oh my goodness, that is some crazy stuff. I mean, it's just, if they're not faking it, if it's done legit way, man.
Who got that one, boss?
Express the fake news.
Express fake news?
Expose the fake news. Sorry.
Expose the fake news. Hey, shout out to Expose the Fake News.
Yeah, it definitely.
It's after hours, baby.
That was a good catch. Yeah, I couldn't remember the dude's name because I haven't seen him in a while. But there's actually a good series on YouTube called Demon Magic, where like when you watch some of these guys, like what they're doing, just watch that series it might be Zenderus. He spells it with an X.
Yeah.
Remember Zenderus?
Yeah.
Look up Demon Magic and just watch that, guys. And
now some of that, y'all listen. I used to work in a
crazy
shop, and we did a little bit of magic here and there. And I'm talking stage magic. You can make quarters disappear and secrets into the thin air and all kinds of scarf tricks. The little sleight of hand card tricks and all that wonderful little stuff. And there's some of it out there, folks, that really does look like some sort of assistance. But most of it, in all reality, most of it's illusion.
Right.
What we do with the Mandela Effect. However, you were taking this a little bit darker, weren't you? Talking about some magic with a K, those guys. That who you talking about in England, maybe? Or who was you?
Well, that was Dynamo. Well, see, the story on Dynamo is now he's definitely somebody that's at least willing to to do the he does a lot of symbolism and things like that in his act too. He's definitely he seems like a very dark dude. So does David Blaine, by the way. David Blaine seems like he's very dark, and he may do that. You
look at what was that, Alice Cooper and some of these other different stars in the fields and the magic, because they want to seem mysterious, so they paint the black around their eyes. They do the eyeshadow, pushing the concept. I mean, you put a little lipstick on them, they'd be pretty girls. But no kidding, they push that point of trying to perform. But when you start talking about this real stuff that we're battling against with this Mandela Effect, folks, when we're talking about the real things, not the stage magic, we're talking about people that are going behind closed doors in robes like these guys were talking about. We're talking about things. What's that movie, Dan? Oh my goodness, behind or eyes
wide open.
Oh, Eyes Wide Shut.
Wide shut,
yeah. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about.
That's really strange stuff, man. And it's weird about that because that's a movie where he died. He didn't get to finish. Actually releasing that movie. In fact,
really?
Yeah,
he died. He died.
You mean they sacrificed him?
Died mysteriously.
I have no idea, man. All I know is it's really strange. He was making this movie, and I'm sorry, but that was a total slap in the face of these crazy parties that they're into. But apparently it was actually a darker movie. They actually cut out a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they didn't want to tell too much.
Well, and then he was dead, so he really couldn't say anything.
Didn't he? What was his name? The guy that wrote that, the director.
That was the guy that supposedly helped fake the moon landing.
Right. What was his name? Phone a friend, man. It's after hours.
I'm sure the chat room will tell us. They know who it is.
Got to know the director.
Yeah, they know the director of that. I'm sorry, it's late for me. My mind's like
hours, baby.
You know, I'll tell you a little bit of an add-on to that story with the booklet map. Is that I just thought I'd finish this off while I can. That happened. I had kept that in that Atlas book as a kid. My grandmother took it and relocated it to in with the flyers. Out of that, I got upset at her and said it belonged in there, and she put it back. When I get about 9 years old, let's say, she told me how I always keep this here because it, you know, essentially it was a big deal to you. At that point in time, I was thinking, well, that's dumb. It's just a stupid thing. And but I didn't tell her she could get rid of it because actually it was something to her. I'd let her, you know, have that good feeling about it. Like, yeah. And the Mandela Effect happened to me when I lived out west. I packed up and moved the hell home because I was kind of worried about a lot of things. And when I walked in my parents' door, what, 25 years later, 30 more years later, that atlas with that booklet was sitting on the coffee table when I walked in the door. Tell me how that's possible.
Yeah, I don't know, brother. I don't know. Oh, by the way, that just real quick, that the director was Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, who got it? Who got it?
Stanley Dean Gutierrez.
Dean, there you go, man. Hey, Stanley, type in. It's After Hours, baby.
Or Guthrie.
Hey, brother, I'm
Isn't
gonna
that a Tom Cruise movie?
What's that? The
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. Yes, and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman, Eyes Wide Shut. Creepy movie. Hey, brother, you reckon, I don't know how late it really is. I know it's After Hours, baby. You reckon these people probably ought to get home and see if we can escort everybody out into the back alley that needs to move?
Well, we got a little bit left. We got about
Really?
11 minutes. We're good. We're still on time.
Oh man, that's
we're
all.
Still fine. Yeah, we're
hey, it's After Hours, baby.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, so yeah, guys, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff, you know. I know this is a dark topic, you know, and things like that, but you know, at the same time, you know, it's like it almost seems like the elephant in the room. You know, you can't help to sometimes, hey, talk about that elephant in the room, because I know a lot of people feel like, you know, this isn't always, and I mean, believe me, I really do try with all the positivity and everything like that. I do, you know, and I try to talk on that too, but at the same time, and I try to be positive, but at the same time, I do think that, you know, this is a time of, at least for a personal side, I think it's a time for self-reflection. I think it's a time to look, you know, back and, you know, maybe do some things in your life, change some things about your life that maybe weren't very healthy or very positive. And I think that, you know, personally for me, I think it's a good time to start, you know, maybe get involved in some prayer. All right. So, you know, and trying to, you know, be closer. And you know, for me, it's a repentance time in a sense, you know, just looking at things that I should have corrected a long time ago in my life, and I'm trying to do better now, just trying to be a better person.
It's like Noble said at the beginning when he first started talking about knowing and how important that was. And then he mentioned, maybe even prior to that, but somewhere in there toward the beginning, he had mentioned about self-reflection. And that's what he meant by the knowing, that we need to inspect ourselves, introspect, or whatever you call it. What's that word, introspection? Where we look inside. And you don't necessarily have to be a tree-hugging, loving kind of sunlight-bearing kind of folk. But you can be, I suppose. There's a lot of them out there because they're searching just like everybody else, I suppose. But this is a time for reflection of yourself, to get yourself, as it were. Scripture tells us that not one spot nor blemish shall inherit that kingdom. There is much more to come, folks, a lot of things, a lot of it a lot worse and more dark than we can even begin to imagine in some cases, unfortunately. Just like today, it was a sad day, y'all. Again, my prayers, and I would ask everybody that come into the show to give their prayers up, not just for the folks on the show and me and the boss man, Daniel. And Nobleness, thank you for coming, and pray for all of us, y'all, but pray one for another. And it doesn't matter. Right now, you're trying to find things for yourself. You're trying to make sense of all this. And all these things were prophesied so many, many, many years ago. And now it's a time to, as a dirty old dog or an animal that's played in the mud, like a pig or whatever, something that's gotten dirty. You can't take it to win the fair. You can't go win the prize and the blue ribbon if you got dirt and mud on you. And Scripture tells us, not one spot nor blemish. This is why he says, forbid not or forsake not the children to come unto me. And folks, we can all be as little children. That's what Scripture says. We have to be as little children. And I notice one thing. See, there's a lot that we all seem to have in common in this Mandela affected world. And we're all sharing our heartstrings, and we all seem to be empathetic and caring. And as Dan has repeatedly said, because it is Scripture 100%, that we're lovers of the truth. Nobleness even said such. And I've heard many, many, because we search, we're seeking, we want to know the truth about 9/11. We want to know if somebody was hoaxing this or hoaxing that. We want to know who is messing with our reality and what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of the people in the Mandela affected world have come to realize in this reality that seems malleable that we are in this world, but not a part of it. For some reason, we have been allowed to see. In other words, we are not the ones who are Mandela affected, but those who went with the download, with the changes in matter. Even though you show them residue, they're blinded, and they're getting more and more blind by the day, and more hostile. And just like the event that occurred up there at that hotel, and somebody shooting these guns, whoever or whatever, whether it was Alphabet or one single old fella flipping, the point is that evil is about. And it's time, because we're not guaranteed that breath or that next heartbeat, folks. It's time, as these guys have said, and I appreciate the boss man here, Scarabperformance. I'm telling you, he's right. So is Nobleness. You're going to have to start checking yourself, folks. Quit worrying about these other people around you. Quit worrying about me. Don't worry about Dan. Don't worry about Noble. You can pray for us. Pray one for another. Pray for those people that lost somebody today. That's some crazy, crazy things going on in this world. But we better pray for ourselves, as Dan said. It's a time for repentance. It's a time to call out and cry out to God. If you don't know he's there, or you don't believe that he's there, go and prove it for yourself with an earnest and an humble heart and a contrite spirit. Cry out to him somewhere alone, and he will make himself real to you. This is a day and age, folks, where we are in a terrible, terrible time, and the majority of people, because everybody's caring about what's changed next, what rapper has changed, what videos changed, what movie, what advertisement, what. And here's the point: the distraction is your wake-up call. Now you're distracted from the normal flow of life. Everyone thinks you're crazy. If you speak about God, you're blaspheming. If you talk about the Bible changes, you have a devil in you. And all of these things they said about Christ too. We're in good company, because all the disciples went through it too. And anybody out here, as we suffer and try and figure out what's going on, why we can see that the things were one way and now another. And the people who cannot see are the ones that went with the change, these residues. And much of it, folks, is still deception in itself. A lot of it's not true. A lot of it's hoax and fakery by the individuals running those media stations to program us in this world of electronics and airwaves. Lucifer is the Lord of airwaves. So here's the point, and I'll shut up because I have a tendency to talk too much. I'm worse than the duck dog, boys. You better get yourselves right, folks. You better do it. Time ain't pretty. Time ain't on our side. We don't know if they can change things without us even realizing it. How long is it going to take them to do something more drastic? Wars on the front? Yesterday. That's right, brother. That's right. Because now we know they're tampering time, manipulation, time projection chambers. You can look all this up at Fermilab and CERN, all these things. I mean, they're doing these things. And that, like you said, I think Dan or Noble One had said that the Bible talks about the times being changed over in Daniel chapter 7, I believe. But listen, folks, I'm done rambling on. I appreciate my time, but I'm going to go over here and I'm going to warm up my glass and fill up my stuff here. And I'm going to sit back by the door and watch the door, make sure old Suso don't sneak in and fall over. And brother, I'm leaving it to you. You're the boss now.
All right, brother. I just want to ask Noble, man, thank you for being here. Do you have anything to say before you leave? Anything you want to finish?
Definitely, you know, as Photo was pointing out, it's a good time if you're whatever religion or spiritual beliefs you have. It's certainly, we're entering the times that you should talk to God. You should pray. You should ask to have you put on your path and to be protected. And if you know He is, and the more you know He is, the more you will be protected. Knowing is everything.
That's right. Knowing.
And it's a funny thing, because it's not so much. It's as much you as it is Him, and it's a hard thing to explain.
That's
but
true.
If you don't know, then He can't work through you. He can't work with you. Like it's such a two-way street. And you can be protected. And no matter what happens in the world, in the physical realm, in the spiritual realm, God and Jesus and the angels are so much more powerful. All evil will scatter like cockroaches. You cannot be touched. And the more you work on that, you know, more it will be better for all of humanity.
Well said, sir.
Good words.
And I guess I'll just like to finish up with this verse. And this comes out of 2 Timothy. And this is 3:1. But understand this, in the last days, terrible times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, without love of good. And that was from the Bible. So just remember that, folks. And thank you for joining us on this broadcast. Thank you, NoblenessDee, and
thank you,
PhotoHelix, for being here with me tonight. And thank you, all those who joined us in the chat room. I do appreciate it. And we love you all. So you guys take care. And I'll see you back here next week. Have a good one, guys.
Keep us in your prayers.
Love you all.